So Google has done it again. Gemini Pro 2.5 model came out with a new update, which was already a top-tier model. But now with this update, there's no question that it tops any model out there, at least based on the benchmarks and the tests and the feedback that is coming out of the internet and the people who are playing with it today. So finally, Google, the sleeping AI giant for a long time, has waken up, and recently it's making hits everywhere. But why does this update matter? Well, it just made coding more accessible and easier. And every time that happens, it enables and empowers people like you to do things that you didn't believe you could do in the past. So you could have an idea and turn it into a simple product or a tool online with a simple prompt. And this is what we're gonna test today. So hey, if you don't know me, my name is Samer. I'm a Fortune 500 executive trying to help you step into the top 1% when it comes to artificial intelligence, like I personally did through online studying and research that I did for myself. And through this channel, I want to make it much easier for you to be part of that top 1% when it comes to artificial intelligence. So let's go take a look at the news and then jump straight into testing the model and seeing what it can do with simple prompts. I hope you enjoy the video. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button and the like button. And with this, let's get started.
Subscribe to Daddy's channel. The mic.
So this is the official blog that Google put out about the update for this version of Gemini 2.5 Pro. And this is just out of the oven. So this was put out by Google on May 6, as you can see right here. And this is not long. They just came out announcing the update and what actually it contains for the users. So let's quickly go through this. Today we're releasing early access to Gemini 2.5 Pro Preview, IO edition, and updated version of 2.5 Pro that has significantly improved capability for coding, especially building compelling interactive web apps. We were going to release this update at Google I/O in a couple of weeks, but based on the overwhelming enthusiasm for this model, we wanted to get it in your hands sooner so people can start building. This builds on the overwhelmingly positive feedback on Gemini 2.5 Pro's coding and multimodal reasoning capabilities. Beyond user interface focused development, these improvements extend to other coding tasks such as code transformation, code editing, and developing complex agentic workflows. And here you can see an image with a prompt. So this is the prompt that they used with this image. Transform this image into a code-based representation of its natural behavior. And you can see this is what Gemini generated, which is really impressive if you think of it. These things are more complex than they seem. And here they tell you with these enhanced capabilities, 2.5 Pro now leads the Web Dev Arena leaderboard, surpassing the previous version by 147 ELO points. This leaderboard measures human preference for a model's ability to build aesthetically pleasing and functional web apps. It also continues to build on its strong foundation in native multimodality and long context. It has state-of-the-art performance in video understanding with a score of 84.8% on the Video MME benchmark. So this is all about the leaderboards and the benchmarks, but basically it tops every model that does web apps when it comes to people preference. And as you can see here, the Gemini 2.5 Pro Preview, the 6th of May version, is the #1 model on this leaderboard. And you can see after that, you have the Claude 3.7 Sonnet. Now, usually some people, when they put it on these kind of leaderboard, it is actually put in two different versions, the Sonnet 3.7 Thinking and the standard one. Here, apparently, they're just using the standard one, which might or might not be fair. So you can see it is sandwiched between the two versions of the Gemini 2.5 Pro. And interestingly enough, O3 is all the way down here at the rank of 6 on the leaderboard. So that's interesting. It had so many promising hype behind it by OpenAI, but clearly it did not score well with people who are using it. And the interesting one here is Qwen 3, which is a really small model compared to any model on this leaderboard, which still scored at 6. So this just tells you these smaller models can make really a big punch when it comes to their performance in coding, as we can see in such examples. Now, personally for me, I'm gonna test more and more this newer version of Gemini 2.5 Pro, because till now, while I think it's the #1 model to build things when it comes to huge context, even Anthropic Claude 3.7 fails at some point when you give it lots of code, and this is where Gemini 2.5 Pro shines. But still with that, I always still stuck to Sonnet 3.7, especially the thinking model, to really develop code when I need to, because I felt it was accurate, on spot, less errors, less issues to deal with when I used Sonnet 3.7. But now with this new update, this is something I'm going to test out, because if it's even at par with 3.7 and able to handle the context that it does today, that will be a huge deal when it comes to vibe coding, and it will probably be the #1 champion when it comes to AI coding or vibe coding. And if you go to X and you just search new Gemini 2.5, you can go through so many things people are building and the feedback people are giving around the new version of the Gemini 2.5 Pro, which is all positive. You don't always get that. It's all positive. So you just can go and see crazy and interesting things people are building. I have my own ideas how to challenge the model and test it, and we're going to see that in a second. So you can just go do that search on YouTube, on X, and you will see what people are doing, and it is all positive. Okay, so here we are in the Google AI Studio, and you can see we have selected the new version of the Gemini 2.5 Pro preview, the 6th of May model. So this is the updated one that we were talking about. And this is my first prompt, is basically to replicate what they showed in their blog. And this is a drawing that my daughter drew on my iPad. And again, I'm giving it exactly the same prompt that they showcased in that blog, to represent it through code for something that depicts its natural behavior. So I will actually activate code execution here, and let's see how that looks with the code executed within the AI Studio itself, and we see the output. And with that, let's hit run, and you can see here it's done thinking, and it has a plan how to build the whole thing. It took a good amount of time while thinking, and now it's coding apparently, and we're already at nearly now 1 minute between the thinking process and the coding process, which you can see it already started and it's just spit that large amount of code all at once. Let's see if it runs it eventually once it's done with the coding. You can see here we're at 82 seconds now. So it ran and it gave the code. It tried to run it within Google AI Studio and it couldn't. So I took the code and I ran it within Replit. But just to remind you before you see the results, this is the image that my daughter drew. And it's a kid's drawing, a 5 or 6 year old kid drawing. And if we go to Replit, this is what it generated. I mean, okay, it's a flower moving with the wind. Again, it's a flower that was drawn by a kid, not even a real one. I think it's impressive. Like just the fact that it really replicated the kid's drawing into an image, or a GIF basically here. And that GIF is just showing those frames of the flower moving with hypothetical wind. I think it's an okay result for Gemini 2.5. Maybe this is not the right test for it. So let's make the testing a notch tougher. Now, this is a tough one. At least this is one I've seen all models struggle with. When I ask OpenAI to give me code based on the agents SDK that they have, you'd expect these model companies to train their models on their documentations really heavily. So now I'm asking the new Gemini 2.5 Pro model to actually create a simple app for me to have a conversation, audio-based conversation based on the Google Agents development kit that they put out recently. That should make this a simple job for Gemini. And eventually what I want is a simple app where I can push a button, maybe talk to the agent and get a response from it. So I'm going to ask it to do that. I don't think you can run this here in the studio. I will see. I'm going to keep the option on, but then I'll take it to Replit and then we'll see if we got it. Honestly, if we get something that is remotely working, where I can send a message by audio and get a response, that will be a big deal, because no other model ever did this before, at least when I was trying to achieve it with these models. So let's hit go. Okay, so I ran the code in Replit, and you can see we have a basic UI. So let's go to the full browser screen and test it. So here goes nothing. Let me try to talk to the agent.
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How are you today?
I'm super well. So what model is your voice based on?
I don't have a voice. I'm a large language model, and I communicate through text. I don't have a physical body or the ability to produce sound. My responses are generated based on the massive data set I was trained on.
So I think this is a great result. The fact that from a simple prompt, like a couple of lines, you've seen that, I got a working application. Now, the audio, the voice that it's using, it's not one of those Gemini or Google voices as part of the AI environment, like similarly to what we have in OpenAI with their voices. It's something that using probably one Python library that it just decided to use. So it's not fully actually articulating or following the development kit that they have for agent. Still, we got it to work with a single prompt. Now I might follow up with this and get it to work through the official voices that are more human-like, that are part of that development kit by Google. But still, a single prompt never happened to me. A single prompt working audio or voice app never, ever, ever happened to me. So for the third test, I'm going to actually ask it to create a chess game, and chess games are complex, that I can actually play and play against Gemini through access to the API. So it will have to figure out a way of how to communicate with the model, the movements on the board, and what I am doing on the board, and how it will take action and respond to me. So it's again, two-liner type of prompt. This is like one of the tests that really show if this model shines where they say it shines or not. So here goes nothing. I'm not complicating the prompts, just to see the level of creativity and conciseness in code building that this model has. Now for this one, I didn't check the code execution because this has to happen on something like Replit. It will not be fair to ask it to build it here. Actually, it will not happen. I will not get the outcome on the screen itself. Okay, so this is what I've got. No errors in the code. It ran smoothly, but the outcome is not as expected. So maybe this is one of the things where I need to specify the prompt in a more detailed manner to get much better results. But out of just this quick thing, I didn't get anything significant. You can see here in the bottom of the screen, it got the chessboard right, it got the white and the black right, and oh, actually I got it to move. So I selected a piece and then let me move it. Oh, I was able to move it. AI error, AI could not determine a move. Okay, so Gemini model not initialized. So it didn't actually get the Gemini model to play with me. But I think overall it's very, very good. I think if I spend maybe 20-30 minutes more on this, I might get it to work. But it just shows you the limitation. Chess is a complex kind of game. Getting AI to play chess with you from a single prompt is a stretch. Even this model has limitations. So for this last test, I have a 3D game, you know, the chicken that crosses the road type of game. It's something that is App Store worthy, I think, but I want to see what kind of quality or level we get out of a single prompt with the new Gemini 2.5. Here goes nothing. Let's hit run and see if we can actually display this here. If not, we'll run it into Replit. Okay, so the interaction for this game was interesting. One of the rare times that an AI model tells me this is too complex for me to do. So let me show you that snippet. You can see here, this is really interesting. I've never seen this before. Okay, this is an exciting and ambitious goal, building a fully deployable 3D game like Crossy Road that rivals paid games on app stores is a significant undertaking, typically involving a team of skilled developers, artists, designers, and sound engineers, along with considerable time and resources. While I, as an AI, cannot personally build and deliver a complete, ready-to-deploy 3D game with all the assets and polish you're envisioning, I can provide you with a comprehensive blueprint. So basically it's telling me I can do it for you. I'll just give you the plan, how to implement it. And then later I actually prompt and say, try to run it with the simplest version of it. And then it did try that and it failed. And then I told it, just give me the code and I will run it on Replit to see how it looks. And this is what we got on Replit. So let me make it bigger maybe. Now I've seen myself more impressive things by Gemini 2.5 online. Now, those are done through eloquent, comprehensive prompts. I didn't do that. I wanted to see the basic level of thinking from a single simple type of prompt, how creative or how complex the model is willing to go. Apparently not so much, but it's still definitely a coding powerhouse. So let me try to play the game. So I'm playing with the keyboard, and you can see I can move forward. If you notice the chicken or the chicken-like object here, so let me click on it so you can zoom in. So cars are moving at different speeds. I think it's an interesting, so I'm putting together a score, and you can see it continues, and when the car hit me, it's a game over. I mean, this is a single prompt game. It's a game, I'm playing it, and it happens through a single prompt. I don't know what's your thoughts, but in my book, this is impressive. I just built a game in a single prompt. Okay, one last test with something more comprehensive as a prompt, but also much more complex. So let's see if the model shines. I want to give it the chance compared to the things I've seen online, where the prompt is really comprehensive and descriptive for the model to do more with it. But here, I'm asking it to visualize something called the quantum lattice confinement fusion reactor. So nothing that I know about, but definitely something complex that even Gemini itself told me, if I can do that for you, I definitely know how to code. So it gave me that idea to ask it for this visualization, and we'll hit run. Okay, so it's done, and it actually implemented that through close to 700 HTML lines. So let's hit run on Replit and see what we get. So we faced one error, and then I checked with Gemini again, and we got it to work. So if you are in the world of physics, you tell me if this is a good depiction or not. But basically it gave us controls for the lattice density here, whatever that means. Beam intensity, so let's increase the beam intensity. I don't know if we're basically shooting a laser at those atoms, trying to split them. I think this is the experiment that was done some time back when they said the world will end. You can reset it, reset the whole thing. And here you can monitor the number of fusions. So this is a complete demo, active neutrons, and then the average lattice energy out of this experiment. We can check this here, which is observer effect. Not sure what's the observer effect, but it's interesting. So it didn't give me something fancy to show you, but it just shows you that Gemini 2.5 is able to take a complex kind of concept, break it down into code, and bring you something like this that you can showcase to people or colleagues if you're at work, and if this is something that matters to you. Now, for simpler ideas, I guarantee you can do a lot more. Now, hopefully this is showing as clearly as it is showing on my side, but there are so many elements that are happening in a really smooth visual. So it's not a simple, like a really simple visual that might seem so. There's so many things happening in the background, so it's not all the just yellow dots. There are some kind of subtle whitish type of objects that appear from time to time in the background. You can see them over here. I don't know what they're showing, and they are circulating in a 3D type of volume or motion around that space or volume that it creates. So definitely an interesting model. I already am using Gemini 2.5 Pro a lot. This will actually encourage me to use it more, to test it more. I use Windsurf for vibe coding, so I really hope with the OpenAI acquisition, the access to such models doesn't go away. And with this, I hope you've enjoyed the peek into Gemini 2.5, which I never reviewed on this channel before. And with this, do not forget to write me a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you think about the model. Like, subscribe, and share the video if you enjoyed it. And with that, thank you and goodbye.
Subscribe to Daddy's channel. Give me the mic.